Hello everyone and welcome to, those were guys. Hey everyone and welcome to week 1 of season 4 of the Reddit Battle League. I'm Joseph, your coach of the Minnesota Eon Twins, and yeah, I'm going to give you a little rundown of our week 1 match, the team that I brought, and how it all turned out. I've got the video here. This might be a little bit of a rough video. I'm just kind of doing it on the fly, so we'll see how it all turns out. But our week 1 opponent was a familiar opponent for week 1, the same opponent we faced week 1 in both seasons 1 and seasons 2, MrSirGrape of the Carolina Pyroars, of formerly the Atlanta Braviaries. But he's a really good battler, made it to the final season 1, not playoff season 2, and wasn't in season 3. But here's his team for season 4. It's a really quite impressive team. I had a lot of challenge building for it, at least based on how my team was constructed. So it was pretty fun time trying to work around some of the threats that he had. His Mega is Mega Latios. Doesn't really show up here because, you know, Latios and Latios look the same. This is the first time Mega Latios has been drafted, and it was really quite interesting to build for because it's a lot more bulky and strong than I really imagined, but it makes a lot of sense since it is, a legendary and a mega, so it's pretty strong. The rest of his team is pretty good as well. He's got, Sylveon, Conkeldurr, you can see them all there. There's no real reason to read through them too much. The one that's hidden back there is Crocodile, as you'll see. That's kind of an important thing. So that's the team, and now I'll show you a little bit about who I brought this week. Let's jump over here to my showdown. So we started off with Pepper, our Victini. I finally come up with a nickname for it. I brought an Assault Vest Victini this week with a little bit of speed investment for a few reasons. So this set is meant to take on kind of all of his OU drafted mons pretty well, actually. So it resists 2 of the moves that I was expecting on Mega Latios, that being Hidden Power Fire and some sort of Psychic move. That combined with an Assault Vest can really take the hits pretty well. And then if there's a Dragon move in there, like a Dragon Pulse or Draco Meteor, hopefully the Assault Vest can kind of mitigate that damage a little bit. And so we want to get in there, and it doesn't really do a lot of damage to it, but I can get in U-turn and maybe get something working off that. I really haven't used Victini before, so this is my first time kind of building with it, and this probably isn't the greatest set, that we could have built with Victini, but I thought it might work. Next up is Catastrophe, our Hydreigon, something I've had before. I know a little bit more about than the Victini. I'm trying to build a little bit better with it this season, I guess, than I had in previous ones. So we're bringing Life Orb, Timid, almost max speed, a Hydreigon with Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon to hit the Sylveon, which is a pretty obvious switch into it. Earth Power and U-turn, there's really not a huge need for a Draco Meteor or a Dragon Pulse, because we can hit everything pretty hard with Dark Pulse and Earth Power and Flash Cannon. So, as you can see, I added U-turn. The idea of this team when I drafted it was to try and get a lot of, momentum through U-turn and see how it works out. I don't think it's going to work quite as well as I wanted to, but maybe I can start playing. I can play with it, throughout the season and see how it works. This was just from a few test battles I ran with it on Showdown. Next up is Tonic the Vaporeon, one of my kind of pseudo walls. Bought a bold defensive one this week with Scald, Wish, Protect, and Heal Bell. Does a good job just kind of checking common threats in there, so the Crocodile and the Arcanine, hopefully it can take those on, provided they don't have something like Wild Charge on the Arcanine. But this set can take that on pretty well. It also does a pretty good job against things like the Tentacruel, which I was pretty sure was coming. Just kind of is bulky overall and can pass some wishes, and Heal Bell kind of help the team out. Our little cleric here, Tonic. Next up is Babar, and so this is a set that I built to try and actually win the game with. So it's kind of our sweeper, built a little bit off of what we saw in the GBA in recent weeks, with the Rock Polish sweep that Donphan pulled off there. So this set actually does a pretty good number on his team, outside of a couple mons. So it's Earthquake, Gunk Shot, Play Rough, and Rock Polish. Adamant with just enough speed to outspeed a timid max speed Latias after the rock polish. The Mega Latias. The speed doesn't change, it stays at 110 anyway. So with this set, we can pretty much OHKO or 2-hit KO everything except for, I think, the Braviary, the Electros, and Mismagius. Those are all 2-hit KO'd. Otherwise, this team, so Mega Latias we can hit with a pretty strong Play Rough after some prior damage. I won't remember the calcs right now anyway, because the battle was quite a while ago now, probably, 6 days or so. So we can hit that with a Play Rough. We can hit Conkeldurr with a Play Rough. That pretty much OHKOs it. We can hit the Sylveon with a Gunk Shot, and that pretty much OHKOs it with the Expert Belt. We can hit Arcanine and Cobalion and Tentacruel with Earthquakes. And those can do, that does obviously super effective stab, Expert Belt damage, all of those. They can be fairly bulky, so it might not OHKO, but puts a pretty good dent in it. So that covers his first 6 Pokemon pretty well, and so we just kind of have to knock out some of the ones on the side. Oh, and Conkeldurr, not Conkeldurr, Crocodile takes a Play Rough not so well either. So this is actually a set that I expect to do very well in the battle. Next up is Alias, our Crobat with Brave Bird, Cross Poison, U-Turn, and Defog. Just kind of a good set. The Defog can get rid of hazards, whatnot, since Babars and Running are, Rapid Spin. So we have that if we need it. Brave Bird, Cross Poison, hit everything for pretty much neutral damage. You can do a lot of chunks of damage to some of his Mons, and then U-Turn for just some more of that switch initiative momentum building that hopefully we can get. And last up we have another defensive wall in McGruff. You're not going to see the last move, but it's Rest, Intimidate is the ability, and Leftovers. Running almost max HP in defense, we put a little bit of speed in it to help us outspeed something, probably the Conkeldurr if I remember correctly. And so it's running Play Rough, Earthquake, Thunder Wave, and Rest. That Rest combined with Heal Bell can kind of hopefully keep him healthy a little bit. And then, Play Rough and Earthquake actually have pretty good coverage against his team, especially that middle section of UU Mons that are all kind of weak to the Earthquakes. So hopefully we can just kind of spam that a little bit and just kind of get in and intimidate things, because that's, a really useful ability. So I have the battle pulled up over here. It's going to be, a little bit of a rough thing, because I just kind of recorded it on my camcorder, and I actually ran out of memory about halfway through the battle exactly, so we'll have a little halftime split where it's going to jump a little bit. But let's get into it and see how it all played out. So the interesting thing about this battle is neither of us brought our Megas. I didn't bring Mega Scissor, he didn't bring Mega Latias, but he did bring his Sylveon, and this actually looks like a pretty good matchup to me. But I go for U-Turn because I got that thing in my head where I just want to build up all this momentum with this team. And I think it kind of came back to bite me in the butt a little bit, because right here I could have just gone for a Cross Poison, risked a Psyshock, but gotten a good chunk of damage off on this. So Ribbons goes for a Reflect here, and I was like, oh, this set, I have a lot of physical attackers on this team right now. Really, my only special attacker is, Catastrophe, the Hydreigon. So Reflect was actually a great bring this week by MrSirGrape, and especially combined with an intimidating Crocodile that's also fairly defensive apparently, seeing as he's got Intimidate Leftovers, ready to set up some Stealth Rocks. Seeing from his side, he's got full HP, I believe, is 202. So, this thing's ready to wall everything, because it's got Intimidate, and Pepper can do nothing to it, even with a power-up punch and super effective U-Turn. I'm barely doing anything. So he's got Pursuit on this, which was really kind of a bummer, because I was hoping Pepper would do a lot more than that, but right now, Pepper's at like 40% health, and it's not going to be taking a lot of hits because it doesn't heal up very well. So we bring in McGruff, because this is a decent check. We can take an Intimidated Earthquake pretty well. We're defensive. we can hit a play rough. I go for an Earthquake here because I was expecting him to switch into something like Arcanine to take the play rough, but he stays in and sets up his Stealth Rock, so that's already another misplay for me. A little bit of a bummer. Not going so well here. And then he reads me like a book, switches out into his Arcanine as I go for the play rough. So just good plays all around by MrSirGrape, and I'm just not doing so hot here. So I figure, well, I'm fully defensive. I need to get a little bit of damage on this so that I can, you know, hopefully do something with Bar and not get intimidated back and forth later on. So I stay in and thinking I can take a Flare Blitz, but that doesn't go so well because we get crit burned by this Flare Blitz. So good job, buddy. He's been doing his work in the off season, ready for week 1. So I fire off just a Thunder Wave to slow us down a little bit, hoping I could get an Earthquake. I don't know, heal off some damage, maybe rest, you know, I've got all that stuff going on. But McGruff, even with those leftovers, is not going to hang on to this. You had so much potential in this battle, but it's not the end of the world. It would be nice to have that Intimidate for later on and more of the health, but we can go out in the Fusion Dragon, hit something hard, or just U-turn again. What am I doing? I could have Earth Power there so easily. He's got 2 immunities to Earth Power though. He's got his Electros here and Miss Magius. So a little bit of a sensible play by my part, but I also could have just gone for Dark Pulse. Probably would have been fun to, you know, get some of that damage on, but I U-turned. At least he gets Paralyzed Healer, which keeps him from healing up. I can go out into Tonic and hit Wish, hit Scald, you know, hit a lot of things. Hitting buttons, that is. So I think I go for the Scald here, if I remember. Yeah, and so Tentacruel comes out, and I'm like, alright, this thing's probably pretty defensive. Let's get some damage on it. Let's go for Scald Burns. That sounds like fun. This thing can't really do much to me. If it has Sludge Wave, that does a good amount. If it just has like Knockoff and Scald, it can knock off leftovers. But really, that's about it, because it can't Scald me. So I Protect here just to scout. He set up Socket Spikes. Well, that's okay. I have Crobat to defog them away if I want to. If you didn't notice in the team builder, I didn't actually bring hazards on my team because I was, you know, expecting to defog at some point, so I didn't worry about setting them up. Might have bite me in the butt. Probably not really, actually, in the end. You probably know the outcome by now anyway. You've seen it, either MrSirGrape's side or through the video. But here we are, fishing for Scald Burns, you know, one of those spammable moves in the game. Let's think we're on our second one here. Yeah, we had Scald, Protect, Scald. And he sets up another layup Toxic Spikes. Again, that's okay. Third Scald to Charm. Right. No. No burns for us. That's alright. We'll get it on the next one, right? Here comes the switch. What's he going into? Kawaii. Here comes the Electros. Scald. Burn. No. No burn on that one either. So close, Tonic, so close. That's okay. A little bit better. We can actually get a Toxic off here. So, as you know, Electros was one of the things that was keeping me from sweeping with Babar because of the Levitate, and it's also just fairly bulky. Bought a really bulky team this week, and is putting a little bit of trouble onto mine. Just because, you know, I've got to get rid of all of these threats before I can actually kind of get some work done. So we saw the Discharge. He's going to go through the Discharge again. I can switch into the Fusion Dragon. I didn't bring Catastrophe. I just brought the other nickname because this is my timid one, and I didn't want to re-nickname it. Oh, there's the cut. So I go for the Dark Pulse. It brings it down really low. Here he could have KO'd me with, I don't know if he was carrying U-turn, I think. It might have been able to knock me out from that range, but he goes down to the Toxic after flinching from the Dark Pulse. So that's, you know, a little bit of hacks back on my side, which is nice after losing McGruff early on. So here's Ribbons coming out, and so obviously I can't really do much. I could have Flash Cannoned here expecting the Reflect to come up, but I don't. I just go for the U-turn because, you know, it's kind of fun to do this. And I go out into Alias here, because Alias can do a lot. We can get rid of the Stealth Rocks, we can get rid of the Toxic Spikes, and hey, Reflect, that gets rid of, that's taken out by Defog too, right? Yeah, I think so. So I go for the Defog, because this is working out alright. I like this defogging thing. At least in this battle it turned out okay. So there he goes. Evasiveness goes down. Reflect wears off. Spikes disappear. Rocks disappear. Get rid of those sneaky pebbles. He goes for a hyper voice. I should be able to live that. I go for the U-turn. No, I just went for the defog. I go for the cross poison next, and I know what happens because he switches out into his crocodile. Great play again, MrSirGrape. Could have U-turned here. Don't think it would have made a big deal. I don't know what I would even have gone into. Cross poison does nothing, basically. It was resisted. Cross poisons, not doing too much. But I can go for U-turn, keep this thing around a little bit longer, maybe get a wish onto it. Probably not. I think here I was expecting either a pursuit or him to put the rocks back up. So I go out into Pepper. A little bit of pause there for everyone. But he goes right for the knockoff, and that's going to take me out. Off with the assault vest, getting stripped down, and goes down. Sorry, Pepper. It was a good time, though. And so he gets some health back from the leftovers. I go out into, I don't remember this part of the battle completely, back out into Alias. So that was just kind of completely pointless to do that. At least I'm not intimidated anymore, but I'm still not going to be doing a ton of damage to this. So I just go straight up for the Brave Bird to try and take this thing out as best as I can. And we'll see, it does enough damage that I believe I'm able to 2-hit KO it. Getting to the edge of my memory again. Yeah, that's plenty enough. Look at how strong you are, Alias. That's even after an Intimidate. On something that I think is fairly bulky, if not defensive. I'm not sure which set he was, because I only got to see the Flare Blitz, and I didn't really calc it, because I was just kind of bummed about that. So we take it out. A little bit of help from the para hacks earlier on in that he wasn't able to heal up. We talked a little bit after the battle and he mentioned that. Back out into Nixon. Now I'm at what, -2? All these Intimidators. Oh man, why am I bringing all these physical attackers? Special all the way. But that's just the nature of the team that I brought. I probably should pay attention to that more in the future. Because this is going a little bit rough. I still got that option though in the back. We've got Babar, the trump card. See what we can do to it. So Tonic comes out. Obviously I'm not faster than this, and he can just spam some knockoffs and pretty much take everything out. And not really anything I can do right here. He can just hit up with an Earthquake again. I could have gone back out into my Crobat and gotten some more damage off. Maybe that would have been a good idea, but he could have just gone for knockoff and probably knocked me out. I guess he went for the safer play with Earthquake. I think Pursuit's probably too weak. Knockoff at 65 base power is probably okay. I go for the Brave Bird because I want to get enough damage that I can OHKO Nixon after putting up a Rock Polish, and then maybe I have a chance because I have to live something from the Mismagius and then KO it. So here we go. Bringing in the trump card. Babar. We gotta set up a Rock Polish. Hope he doesn't switch out. Hope we can OHKO him with an Earthquake or a Play Rough and see what we can do from there. So he takes off our Expert Belt as we put up a Rock Polish. And so at this point, it's kind of a toss-up if I should go for Earthquake or Play Rough. I don't really want to miss a Play Rough. I don't have my Expert Belt anymore, so I don't get the boost on Play Rough. I think Earthquake can take it out, and we go for Earthquake, and we bring it down to 5 HP. He's able to get an Earthquake off on Babar, take it down into the orange. Poor little Babar, you have so much potential. You're so close. You almost got him. You get your KO, but the damage that we took means that you're in a poor spot when we take on Hecate. Mismagius here. So I'm actually, at this point, I've lost the battle, so I just kind of go for Earthquake. Even with a crit gunk shot, Poison doesn't take it out, Play Rough crit doesn't take it out, so there's really nothing I can do. That's where I actually ran out of recording the second time. I only had my 1 GB SD card, so I ordered a new one because I can't find my other one. And so that's the end of the battle. The next turn I bring in the Fusion Dragon, my Hydreigon, and he goes for Dazzling Gleam and cleanly OHKOs it, as I'm not able to outspeed since I'm Life Orb, and he's got base 105 on Mismagius. So that's the end of the battle. Good game to MrSirGrape. The Eon Twins are starting out 0-1, but no one's actually swept an entire season of the Reddit Battle League, so one loss is not the end of the world. We'll be back. We'll play well. It's season 4. It's a good time. We've got some great teams. I think there's only 4 teams making the playoffs, so I'm just going to try and have fun with this season, and we'll see how it goes. We've got a lot of great competitors in our league. MrSirGrape's great. Alex is obviously great. He's been, champion with me as well. And we got a lot of new guys too who seem to be pretty impressive, and I look forward to learning how they play and getting to know everyone in the league. So again, we go to 0-1. The Carolina Pyroars go to 1-0. We'll be back next week against Murray and the Glasgow Glailies, a little across the ocean action. So that should be pretty good. I've started planning for that a little bit, and I think we'll have a good time with that battle. So that's going to end up this one. I have no idea how long it is, probably too long. But I look forward, to the next week's, and hopefully see you back next week's on Showdown, so we'll try and do it live. And that is that.